What's up, everybody? This is Dr. Nick with Leverage Media, and welcome to another episode of the Path to a Million podcast. Continuing on with all of our Paycheck Protection Program information. This is actually not in the Paycheck Protection Program. This is part of the CARES Act, but it's separate from the Paycheck Program. So this only applies to you if you have an existing SBA loan, but this is amazing news if you do have an SBA loan. So live Q&A today at 5:30 p.m. Central Time. I'll just answer anybody's questions as long as you've got them. I've got an interview for a podcast at 7. So yesterday it went like 90 minutes, kind of like pretty close. So I figured today will be about the same. So just be there if you want your individual question answered. But I'm trying to answer as many like detailed questions as I can today. Right now I'm just like kind of going through the bill itself so that you guys can read or hear what I've read. So this part is going to be about if you have an SBA loan. If you don't have an SBA loan, or if you didn't have an SBA loan before all of this, this doesn't really apply to you. But if you have an SBA loan, this is amazing. So principal and interest payments in general, the administrator, I think that means this Small Business Administration or administrator, shall pay the principal, interest, and any associated fees that are owed on a covered loan in a regular servicing status. A, with respect to a covered loan made before the date of enactment of this act, which is March 27th, and not on deferment, so you're not deferring the loan, for the 6-month period beginning with the next payment due on the covered loan. So I'm going to use my personal example. I have an SBA loan, and I've got all my stuff written here. On 4/2, I have. So when I got my SBA loan, basically the SBA, I think it's like they guarantee a certain percentage. I think it's maybe 90%. They guarantee 90%. My bank made the SBA loan. I had to pay somebody to take me through the application, blah, blah, blah. Don't do that for the Paycheck Protection Program. I've mentioned that before. Don't pay anybody right now to help you with these loans. But I have a loan with my local bank made the construction loan, and then when we closed it out, they kept 50% of the loan and they sold 40% of it to Wells Fargo, and then I had 10% down. So my 50% payment to my bank each month on the second, Bank of Springfield, is $1,530, and Wells Fargo is $1,165. And I pay both of those on the second of the month. Now I have to call the people that helped me with my SBA loan. I have to call them on Monday to see if those payments are still like considered SBA loans. If they are, the way this reads is that not only are they going to pay for the interest, but they're going to pay for the principal for the next 6 months, starting with the payment after this goes into law. So this went into law on the 27th. My payment is on 4/2. So I would assume that that's going to be the first payment that is made for me through the SBA loan, and it'll do that for the next 6 months, which is amazing. So I just read that section. B, with respect to a covered loan made before the date of enactment of this act and on deferment for the 6-month period beginning with the next payment due on the covered loan after the deferment. So if you have something on deferment for like 3 months, then it would pay the next 6 months. So I guess that's even better if you had it on deferment. I was thinking you got screwed if you had it on deferment, but it sounds like it's even better because you get on deferment for a few months, then you get 6 months, 6-month period paid. C is with respect to a covered loan made during the period beginning on the date of the enactment of this act and ending on the date that is 6 months after such date of enactment for the 6-month period beginning with the first payment due on the covered loan. Ooh, I mean, that sounds like if you get a loan during the period beginning on the date of enactment of this act, which would be March 27th, and ending on the date that is 6 months after such date of enactment for the 6-month period beginning with the first payment. I mean, that sounds like if you've got a regular SBA loan between 3/27/20 and 9/27/20 that it would pay for it for 6 months. That seems crazy. That I don't know. I mean, I'll read that again. You guys can like decide on your own. I thought this only applied to like things that were. Let me just see if that. The administrator shall pay the principal, interest, and any associated fees that are owed on a covered loan in a regular servicing status. And then it gives those 3 time periods. It says if you had it before the enactment of the act, if you had it before the enactment of the act and it's on deferment. And then the third thing is to a covered loan made during the period beginning on the date of enactment of this act and ending on the date that is 6 months after such date of enactment for the 6-month period beginning with the first payment due on the covered loan. I mean, that sounds like they're going to pay 6 months of an SBA loan, even if you get it like here in the next 6 months. I don't think that would apply to disaster loans, but I think it's just like a normal, like if you got a SBA loan on a building or something that they pay for 6 months. That's crazy. So for those of you that have like actual, like you're not worried about surviving and you're looking for something to help you out, set you up in the long term, it sounds like that's a good way to go. Timing of payment. The administrator shall begin making payments under paragraph 1 on a covered loan no later than 30 days after the date on which the first such payment is due. So it sounds like they just need to start making the payments no later than 30 days after the date. So maybe they won't make it for the 4-2, but they would have to make it for the 5-2 payment if mine is still an SBA. Let's see. That's kind of the end of that. So that was the only point, is that if you have an SBA loan, it'll get paid for 6 months, interest, principal, and fees. And it looks like you may be able to go get an SBA loan now and have it paid for. So keep that in mind. I'd talk to an SBA lender about that if it's something that if you've got some interest in buying something at this point or taking out. I doubt that they would like give you a loan right now, but if you were like buying a physical property, that might be a good way to go. So take a look at that.